question about the Flashpoint stuff, because you alluded to it on Twitter. I mean, for me, one of the things that I've just become increasingly like disenchanted with the Counter-Strike scene in general, and just esports at large, is kind of like the way that it used to be, sure, you always played favorites, but there was some sort of big picture awareness. Certainly in Counter-Strike, where it felt the community used to be a bit more mature. But now it seems to be that people genuinely root for failure without, of certain entities, without actually thinking through what would come next. So,
Yes.
In the instance of Flashpoint, me and Duncan have dunked on Flashpoint many times. I'm sure we'll do it again. But equally, I can see the virtues and the importance of new leagues and ladders and tournament organizers and companies and sponsors and investors and all of that coming into the space. And yet it seems to me the standard Flashpoint is held up to compared to other TOs is ridiculous. And it's predicated on, as far as I can tell, two things primarily. One, Thorin used to work for Flashpoint, and morons who think they're entitled to an opinion when they don't even look up like just basic facts before they open their stupid fat fucking mouths think Thorin still works there. And two, you work there, Monty, and that, as far as I can tell, is Flashpoint's greatest crimes.
I don't know, man. Like, I think I stand with the decision that FaceIt and Flashpoint made in regards to this, given the information that was available. I think the decision was reasonable. Obviously, I share some of your concerns clearly about the standard that it sets, but I think this was such a fringe case that it's not really likely to happen again. And I think for the most part, Flashpoint 3 went very smoothly. I think Flashpoint is doing very interesting things with production that we just don't see from other TOs. Like, we again sent all of the camera crews out to the team facilities or the player houses so that you actually get live interviews in an online era, right? We're the only one doing like that kind of hype video stuff. We do skits, like we do fun stuff. We brought in people who weren't on site to kind of cut in and do telestration analysis for us, like Alan. Like, we found a lot of creative solutions to problems during the pandemic. And am I frustrated that we've never been able to run Flashpoint the way that we would have liked because of the COVID pandemic? Yes. But at the same time, I think we're doing things that no other TO is doing. And I think that it pushes the entire scene forward. Like, in the same way that ESL and Blast push us forward to do things, like, I love Blast production. I think Blast is excellent. But I also want to make an excellent product. And outside of this one incident, I think the whole tournament was pretty smooth overall and offered some good content and some really high quality matches of Counter-Strike. And, I hope people enjoyed it. That's it. But I don't understand why, we're held to this different standard, and like even by the teams themselves, which is weird. Because if I'm a team, I don't like teams. Do you want an ESL monopoly? Is that what you think is good? Do you think you're going to make money from that scenario? No.
Well, I mean, they sort of think, yeah, actually.
Well, okay, but it's because they have competition. As soon as the competition goes away, you think ESL is going to be so generous? No, they're not. That's just business. That's just business, not shade at ESL.
You like this, Richard, because I'm now going to reveal something I was told within Flashpoint about Nicola Lyholm. Oh, the fuck. Isn't that rich, Nick? Hey, both of us can play that game. By the way, I've got fucking silos you don't even know about, motherfucker. But okay, here's what I heard within Flashpoint. You'll like this. Even Nicola Lyholm supposedly actually acknowledges privately that the battle between Flashpoint and ESL did get them a better Louvre agreement.
Yeah,
even the devil gives us a fucking due.
Do you think that ESL would have offered money to the Louvre agreement teams, or as much as they did, without the existence of Flashpoint? Of course not. That's not it's not throwing shade. It's just not a rational business decision. It's for a tournament organizer. Like, we probably wouldn't have either I wouldn't have if I was in that same scenario, right? So it has been good for many of the teams. It has been good for the players, for the teams in particular, that there has been competition, and I continue to believe that is true.
Because what made this perfect, by the way, and we can obviously segue to the CIS stuff now, is basically the timing of this, because it happened with Flashpoint, and then obviously it was like, a week later that now we had all this CIS RMR stuff. And you guys in the community, you fucking played yourselves so hard because you spunked your entire load on Flashpoint device style, saying like, you should never host a bloody event. Valve should ban you. They should be removed from the earth itself. Like, just going so over the top. Then we moved to another RMR in which, by the way, if you asked me, listen, ignoring like the online, offline component, if the major was played tomorrow and it was played online, I'm just going to use that to make it a reasonable context. The CIS RMR has more favourites to win the major than the EU one does right now. Like, that in theory should be the most important RMR in the context that we need the top teams to get to the major to make the major as awesome as possible. So the idea that when you look at the CIS RMR, you're like, just don't really care. It's like, well, then you don't care about the issue itself. Because like I say, this isn't like, but I'm not from CIS. No, we're talking about World Cups right now. They're the best teams in the world. Gambit, fucking Na'Vi, Virtus Pro. Like, these are the best teams in the game. Like that, if you actually cared about these topics and not just cause fuck Flashpoint and Monty and Thorin, then you should really care about this one. Like, this one, by the way, had way more offenses than we're going to get into.
I'm gonna make an analogy here. Okay, I'm gonna make an analogy. So this situation is like when the U.S. was involved in Vietnam and just bombing the shit out of everything, and like questionable if the fans are like the U.S. in this scenario. You guys just came and you just bombed the shit out of Flashpoint, right? You just bombed it everywhere. And what happened after the Vietnam War was that a lot of they started bombing Cambodia, right? And because the insurgents, like the northern Vietnamese, were going through using Cambodia, they didn't care about the border. So you start bombing Cambodia. This causes massive displacement in Cambodia. And then here comes Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge. And the U.S. at that point is like, well, everybody's tired of war, so we're just going to let this ride, And it's like, no, that was the actual righteous conflict, guys. You missed the one you should have been involved in because you were so involved in this dumb bullshit instead.
So, Gomez, just before we talk about Pol Pot some more, are there any final thoughts about Flashpoint you want to just chip in and say before we move on to the CIS stuff?
Do we miss anything? Is there any obvious angle like that we haven't brought up?
I just think in general, all the tournament organizers get a pretty rough stick. I think if ESL made a mistake, there would have been an equal amount of people. There would have been different people, but it would have been just as many, calling for Carmack's head, even if he had nothing to do with it. Like, people just associate, I guess, like, figureheads with different companies, and if you don't like that person, if it was Blast, like, I'm sure Nicola Nyholm still would have copped it, even though he probably has absolutely nothing to do with it.
No, he just fires and all, yeah,
exactly. But like, I think like it's just people are just, I mean, they're just not happy with the product, and I don't think that's really justified. I think that all the top tier ones are doing a pretty good job in general, and people just want to complain about whatever. It's like politics. I picked a side, and now that's their side for life. You're either ESL or you're not, or you're Flashpoint or you're not. And as soon as they do something wrong, it's like, haha, like retweet all the tweets and,
Oh, yeah, don't worry. Listen, I'll tell you right now, and I know some of these guys, even though in this particular instance, they would want you to understand how difficult a scenario it was and how, it was unfair. Listen, they would have done the little sneak dick monkey fucking retweet of like a comment like me bagging on ESL or something if it was ESL. They'd do that cheeky little, Mick would do his fucking little retweet. He'd get one in there, or the shadow likes. Less people are going to check those. Like, obviously everyone in the, like, that's just the industry bullshit, isn't it? The tribalism. Yeah. Of course people would do that. I agree.
Yeah. It's a Reddit thing too. Like, let's make a controversial topic to get the likes, to get the karma.
Yeah, but see, you know what we would do on this show is that if this had been ESL's problem, we would have just invited somebody from ESL to come on here and had a reasonable fucking conversation. That's why this show is important, guys. This show is very important because this is the only place you're going to get reasonable ass takes on esports drama. Because we wait.
It's the only place you might ever see me on a live stream with Carmack in this fucking incarnation, boys. Not the only chance you've ever got.
Like, so. I don't give a shit. Anybody is welcome into the arena here. You know what I mean? Like, the point is for people to be able to have a platform to discuss things in a rational and in-depth manner.
I mean, I'll just add as well to Gomez's point. It's like, one of the comments I read all the time on the CSGO subreddit, especially these days, is, wow, it feels like there's a drama every 5 minutes. That's you, dickhead.
I know, isn't it?
That's you, dickhead. You're the one that sees a thing happening, puts it on social media, right? Tells all your mates, tells all your mates to fucking upvote it, shares it on your Discord. You're the one who drives the conversation and comments in it 50 times. All of you upvoting it and put it on the front page. Half of this shit don't need to be discussed. Half of this shit ain't a big deal. Like, did we really need 5 fucking threads about Flashpoint cutting away at the end of a round when someone's saving a gun? Did we need that? Probably not, guys, but it was a big deal, wasn't it? Because what you do, you don't care about the principle, you care about the drama, and you care about dunking on people you don't like while promoting people you do like.
The floodgates were opened after that, weren't they? It was like, on Flashpoint, it's actually you are, not you're on the fucking, like, all right, mate, There's it now, just everything in it, just everything that's wrong.
I literally saw someone make a thread, right? They were so dumb. There was a bit where they were like playing like almost like outtakes from like James Bardolph, like for humor purposes.
Yes.
Somebody made a thread going, Flashpoint have just hot mic'd James Bardolph. Listen to all the outrageous things he's saying. And it's like, it's not a hot mic, dickhead, is it? It's like the whole, anyone who thinks it is as well, it's like, fucking hell. If he ever sees a magic show, that guy is going to blow his mind. He saw a woman in her. He's going to go mental. He's going to go mental. Please. Yeah, please. I've witnessed the murder. You know, like fucking absolute cretin. So anyway,
I was gonna say, it's a free product, by the way, as well. Like, you know, this is entirely free. You know, you don't have to pay a cent to view this. And then it's like you cut for like 2 seconds, and then there's 6 threads about it. And yet my local TV provider does this, you know, daily, weekly. Right. You know, whatever.
Literally a free product. I know it.
Yeah. So